Hey, welcome back to the Google Display mini course. In this module, we're going to talk about automating your account. Just going to give you a few quick examples of what you can do and talk firstly about why you'd want to do it. There's a lot of, shall we say, grunt work in AdWords. There's a lot of repetitive stuff that honestly you shouldn't be doing. A lot of it is rule-based. A lot of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis running an AdWords account is rule-based. A lot of those rules aren't very explicit. It feels like it's intuition and gut feel, but actually in your head you're actually doing some complicated rule-based stuff. If this, then that. If this and that and that and not that, then do that. You may not know that you're doing that. It's very hard sometimes to describe the rules that you're actually using. It's just, nah, I feel like I need to pause that. I feel like I need to bid more there. But it is all rule-based, and machines are much, much better, faster at following those rules than we are, and they tend to stick to them, and they can work 24 hours a day and not be sick and not take holidays. So the reason why you want to do it is not, I believe, not to try and save on headcount, which is something that Google will always talk about when they're, shall we say, encouraging us to automate more things. But you could get rid of people, you could save money. I'm not interested in that. I just want the best result for my clients, to get them the best result, to make them the most money or help them build their business or help them serve whatever thing they are doing. Our job is to serve them, right? So we only use automation in the pursuit of that, I suppose. So that's my rant out the way. The other reason you want to do it is just it's boring doing a lot of that stuff. You don't want to be doing the same thing all the time. If a machine can do it, if you can describe at least some of the simpler rules, then the machine can take over and make some of those less consequential changes for you. And that's a good place to start. I've got a whole talk on this where I talk about this little grid between high frequency and low frequency. In other words, stuff that happens a lot, stuff that doesn't happen very often, and high consequence versus low consequence. When this happens, this really, really matters, or this really doesn't matter at all. Where you want to start is the high frequency, low consequence corner of that little grid. So stuff that happens a lot, but it's not super important. That's a perfect place to build systems and to automate. Get rid of the grunt work. Fair. Three things that we're going to talk about. First is labels. You can label almost anything inside your AdWords account. Not shopping stuff yet, and can't use Data Studio with labels yet. A couple of bugbears for me, but inside of display campaigns, a label like this, for instance, might be useful. So you could label all of your ads based on the size. For your banner ads, for your image ads, you could label this based on size. And again, AdWords Editor that we talked about in the previous module is a great tool for doing this at scale, where you can very, very quickly add this label to 10,000 image ads and then post those changes into your account. I tend to like building groups of labels that all start with the same prefix, and I like short labels so I can see more of them on the screen at the time. I colon here could be image, it could be image size, it could be anything, but for me, I like nice short labels. So I, for me, means image size. So I colon and then the actual size of that ad. Now, the reason I do this particular label is that the size actually isn't an attribute that you can use inside the interface. In other words, there isn't a column that you can turn on. You can't sort or filter by image size once you're inside of AdWords. So having this label is quite useful to allow you to maybe filter and say, only show me these medrecs because I want to look at the performance there. I can also very quickly create reports and then choose only show me the data for entities, ads, let's say, that begin with I colon. So I can quickly take all of my data and say, just show me this little bit, all of the labels that start with I colon. I can, and I won't go deep into this because it gets a bit complicated, but I can essentially create pivot tables on the fly very, very quickly inside the interface. So I don't have to pull all the data out, stick it in Excel, do my pivot table over there to see what's going on. I can use the reports inside of AdWords and say, show me just this data for just these labels, and effectively create a pivot table on the fly. So labels, very, very useful. Great once we get into the next two things, which are auto rules and scripts. So auto rules, very, very easy to set up. There's stacks of examples inside the AdWords Help Center. You can use these at all levels of the account almost. So you can use them on ads and keywords, ad groups, campaigns. The one thing you can't use them on, which is pertinent to Google Display discussion, is you can't use auto rules on automatic placements. Remember we talked about managed placements and said I can pick to show an ad just on Oprah.com. Most of the other targeting that we've been talking about, let's say keyword targeting, and I picked the keyword yoga mats. And I'm saying to Google, go find me pages on the GDN that are about this theme of yoga mats. Those are automatic placements. Google is going and finding them automatically based on the criteria that you gave. The only thing you can't do with auto rules, or one of the main things you can't do, is to create rules that are about automatic placements. Otherwise, you can use them for lots of things. You can only run them once a day, though. You can run them daily, weekly, monthly. You can run them on the same day of the week, each week, or something like that, but you can only run them daily. But lots of different things you can do there. Be aware of them at least, because you want to be aware that option is there, and go see what you can do. Again, there's lots of examples on the AdWords Help Center site. Just search for AdWords auto rule examples and you'll find loads of them. Great for doing stuff like pausing ads en masse. So maybe you've got a promo that starts on Monday and you want the ads to go live at 2 in the morning. You're going to pause all of the old ads and get all the new ads running. So you use labels, old ads, new ads, and you'd have two auto rules. One to pause all ads with the label old ads, and one to enable all ads because they're currently sitting there ready to go but paused. Another rule to enable all of the ads with the label new ads, as an example. And then last one for this module, and that's AdWords scripts. These have been around since about 2012, 2013. We've been using them for most of that time. I don't see Google continuing to support them much into the future. I think scripts will fall by the wayside as the AI and the machine learning side of things picks up even more, but they can be really, really useful for a bunch of stuff. This is a script written by one of the AgencySavvy members, Jeff Mardiker. This is actually around quality score, so not really applicable to GDN at all, but I just grabbed that screenshot to give a shout out to Jeff and to just illustrate the example here that scripts are just essentially mini computer programs written in basically JavaScript that you can squirt into your AdWords account, either for a single account or at the MCC level if you're an agency, and have them do stuff for you on a regular basis. Big benefit here is that you can work with things like auto placements that rules can't, and these can run hourly if you need to do stuff over and over and over again very, very quickly. Maybe that might be, say, looking for 404s, looking for final URLs that lead to landing pages that are 404. So if you need to find that to make sure you're not spending money on a page that's gone down, you could use scripts for something like that. Again, there are hundreds of free scripts out in the wild that you can find. I'm not going to begin to try and teach you how to write scripts, certainly not in this course, probably not in any course that we do, because job one, you need to go learn JavaScript, and there are far better places than me to teach you how to do that. Code Academy is a good one if you really want to do that. But I wouldn't be, if we're having this discussion 2013, then go all in. But I wouldn't at this point in time in 2018 be rushing to learn JavaScript so that you can go write AdWords scripts. They're useful, but I think they're going to get replaced by the AI within the next 6 to 18 months, shall we say.